Welcome to everybody who's here in the room and who's on Zoom. Thank you so much for coming here tonight and participating with us. I actually sat through a dress rehearsal of tonight's program early this morning, and you're in for a wonderful evening to hear some exciting plans and reports and programs, some really good stuff. So just if you're home or if you're in the room, just relax and get ready for it to begin. I'm Isabel Goldman. I'm president of the board of the JCC, and it is indeed a privilege to
I'm trying
welcome
to
you
get this
today to our
bigger.
second community town hall. Tonight, we gather here as members,
Hear it.
partners,
You can't even hear
supporters,
it.
and friends, not just to hear a report, but to reflect on a year of progress and possibility, and then to look forward with clarity and commitment. It's hard to believe that it's already been 1 year since Jason Vasquez stepped into the role of CEO at the JCC, and it's been an amazing year. In just 12 months, a blink of an eye, Jason has brought new energy, introduced smart fiscal improvements, overseen essential building upgrades, implemented key organizational changes, created an imaginative backyard space, addressed the needs of programs for all ages, infused a new charge of doing and being more Jewish at the J. And after he's finished with all of that, he always makes time for one-on-one conversations with anyone who would ask. That's leadership, that's commitment, and that's Jason. But make no mistake about it, he didn't do it all alone. And tonight you will hear from some of his amazing team and what they've been doing to help make all of this possible at the J. I don't see the team is arriving. Otherwise, I would ask them to stand. And I would like them to stand, the team, so we can applaud them. And I would like any board member in the room to stand because we can acknowledge them. So please stand and let us acknowledge you. It's because of that team and because of our incredible board of directors that we function here as a JCC and that Jason is able to do the work that he does as well. Of course, we all know that while the J is thriving in many ways, there's still very important work ahead and serious challenges to face. Tonight is about transparency, community, and shared responsibility. We're here to celebrate the progress and then again the path forward and recommit ourselves to the future of the JCC. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming the man filled with vision and drive, Jason Vasquez, our CEO. My pleasure.
That's an okay picture, huh? Kidding. Oh, your picture. Good evening, everyone. How is everybody on this lovely evening? Everybody's doing well? Okay, well, honestly, first and foremost, once again, it's such a pleasure to welcome you all to the JCC, the Heart Theater to be more exact, for our second annual community forum. So on behalf of myself and our team, I want to give every single member of our community that's here today, both live and on Zoom, a tremendous round of applause. Thank you for being a part of who we are. Now, you'll excuse me in advance because when I stand behind a podium, I get a bit lazy, so I want to move around. And I promised I'd do a few things tonight. One of them was to our Chief Creative Officer, Ralph Moranto, where I promised not to tell the same poker story that I've been telling over and over and over. But for fun, where I lost a bet 19 years ago, best bet of my life. Yes, we all know the story. Most people know it. Great, Ralph, I've done my job there, correct? Fantastic. But more importantly, what I want to do is I want to make sure that every single person, to Isabel's points and to each of our points in the room, know that nothing happens here at the JCC without a team. So a lot of kind words spoken about me by Isabel. And I'll get out of the way for a moment because I want everybody to see who truly makes the JCC the place that it is today. Everything that we've been doing over this past year, working together, figuring out what the best possible vision is, thinking about our next steps, It happens because of these people right here. So I know not everybody is in the room today and may not be in the Zoom, but I want to really truly give our team a round of applause for all that they do for our community. You know, when I first started, was it a year ago at this point? A year ago. Wow. I can't even think about that. A year ago, stepping into some really big shoes. And when I say big shoes, I mean there have been such a legacy that's existed at our JCC that I walked in the door not knowing what to expect. And I'll tell you what I got. I got beauty, I got compassion, I got a community. And I come from the JCC space. So for me, working with teams, being around people was something that I truly thought I knew. But until you get to Rochester, until you live it live in the flesh, until you sleep one night in your bed outside of the city that you grew up for the entirety of your life, you don't realize how special this place truly is. And I am so thankful to be here. So, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. So I speak about community, I speak about our team, but I would be remiss without mentioning the incredible foundations that have supported all the work that has happened across the JCC in our past landscape, our current landscape, and our future landscape. So a very special thank you to the Lewis S. and Molly B. Wolk Foundation, the Max and Marion Farish Charitable Foundation, the William and Sheila Konar Foundation, and to every single one of our supporters that sits here in the room, that's a part of our foundation, that represents who we are as a JCC day in and day out. So for the fun stuff, and I'm going to switch hands because I forgot I'm a righty. When we look at this slide, for those of you who have sat in a presentation with me, you've heard about it quite a bit, but I want to read it because it's very special. A community worth building. The Lewis S. Wolk JCC of Greater Rochester is more than an institution. It is a living, breathing reflection of what a community can be: diverse, vibrant, welcoming, and resilient. A place where a child takes their first steps, a teen finds their voice, an adult rekindles purpose, and Jewish and Israel's life flourish across generations. As we look ahead, we are filled with both urgency and optimism. The future of our JCC is not about survival. It's about becoming more vibrant, more inclusive of all abilities and identities, more Jewish, and more essential than ever before. We are not just preserving a legacy, we are becoming the future and tomorrow of JCCs. When we think about all that we're doing here, there's a lot happening. Programming, initiatives, real estate, development, but I want to stand tall to one essential point that defines us. We're JCC. Does everybody know what the J stands for in JCC? No, it's Jason, but no, it's absolutely Jewish. And when we see this diagram here, the important part of this is that everything that we do is representative by this outer circle of Jewish life. So when we see fitness and wellness, arts and culture, early education, Camp Sisal, Camp Seneca Lake, family program, adult program, 55 plus, each one of these may touch that outer ring in different ways. Some days may be more Jewish, some days may be less Jewish, but it all fits within this outer circle, Jewish life. And that's what we're trying to be representative of here. Jewish life, Jewish values. Does anybody know what our Jewish values of the organization are? Well, that's okay, because we have the values behind us today. And this is where I'll need a little bit of audience participation, mostly so I don't mispronounce anything. Our values. Can somebody just shout it out? What does that mean? Great. We're doing very well on this test so far. Anybody want to give it a shot? What was that? Perfect. What does that mean? Hesed, compassion. This is a good one. Everybody, let's pronounce it at once. Kavod, honor, and respect. And then I'll let you all do this one. Being our best selves. You know, the reality is, as an institution, as an organization, as an agency, we need to be representative of these values that define us, define who we are, define what this agency represents. When you walk into the agency on a daily basis, I want you to feel these 5 values. They're very clearly labeled on our website and on different graphics around the building. But we need to live this. We need to breathe this. You need to feel these things at all time. And education is something that I'm very big on. And when I say I mean we as the team. We are doing our best to make sure that moving forward, the entirety of our team understands what it means to be representative of these values. And I'm not saying that that hasn't been the case. What I'm saying that as a lifelong learner, we can continue to learn and be a better version of ourselves. We need a JCC, now more than ever. I'll read a few of these things, but then I want to make sure that we open it to audience participation again. Jewish life must be lived, not just observed. Belonging is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Community is the answer to loneliness, and culture is the antidote to indifference. We are raising the next generation, and wellness is holistic. Some more audience participation. Let's just shout them out one by one, why we need a JCC, and please keep the pickleball comments down to a minimum tonight. Although I agree. Why do we need a JCC? Let's shout it out. Fitness, community, culture, friendship, belonging, bagels. You know, the way to my heart is the food also. Thank you, Cameron. Jewish education. Anyone else? Identity, culture, friendship, inclusion, diversity. I'll pause there. Showers, for sure showers. The reality is that each of us has a different reason for why we may need a JCC, but we all live within that same community. And it's really a special thing to think about an institution, an organization, an agency that has been around for close to 120 years. I think we have to realize how special that truly is, that we are currently sitting in an organization, a JCC, a nonprofit, that has been around for close to 120 years. You don't get that without a purpose. You don't get that without feeling. You don't get that without a community. And that's what we are. And our community will continue to have reasons for why we need a JCC. And that's why we're going to make sure that we're here for the next 120 plus. Some fun things that are happening here. And of course, because we have a lot more exciting people coming to the stage shortly to speak, I'll limit what I say. But in the past year, because of our team, we've probably accomplished 25 to 30 different projects. Some of them that you see here on the screen, in no particular order. The beautiful adventure course that we built in the backyard, the master site plan and strategic plan for Camp Seneca Lake, the return of Camp Sisal, new gross motor rooms in the Walk Children's Center, the Hart Theater renovation, which is currently going underway, fixed elevators, painted light posts, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Our team has taken on the effort of saying to invest in ourselves, or let me repeat that, to invest in our community, we need to invest in ourselves. We wanted to show our community that it's possible to do a lot of things behind closed doors that we can show each of us about why we're proud to be a part of who we are. The Jewish Community Center of Greater Rochester. I use this photo as an example, and there's many more photos to come, but I use this one as an example. This is our Woke Early Childhood Center before, the playground, and after. When we spoke to the teams, when we spoke to ourselves, the idea was, how can we get everybody excited if we don't invest into who we are? How do we create that first impression or that renewed first impression? There have been people that come, they go, they come, they go, they stay, they have an opinion. But this is one of the only places that I know that gives you the opportunity to change that first impression. It can be a second first impression, a third first impression. And sometimes it's just the little things that show that we're investing into ourselves. So these are not doctored photos. When you see this playground, our children, Woke Early Childhood Center. My child, by the way, goes to the Woke Early Childhood Center. And they've run a fantastic program, and I know how much that center and that program has meant to this community for years and years and years. You see this, and you think when you look over and peek over for a first impression, you go, what's going on there? When we get to the right side, there's colors, there's vibrancy, there's power washing. I really wanted to power wash, and they wouldn't let me. Like really, really, really wanted to power wash. But it's that investment. Now, in my parlor sessions, I have a lot of these photos, a lot that show what's happening behind the closed doors of the JCC. But I use this one because it really shines through. We go from darkness to light. And that's the mentality that we as teams, we as a community, are moving forward with on our progress to become that tomorrow of JCCs. Behind me, you're going to say, well, what's this big green screen going on here? Well, there's three key things that we're focused on here at the JCC in current times. Number one, programming. Number two, development, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And number three is real estate. When I started, what feels like moons and moons ago, we were in a different mindset. The JCC was prepared to be sold, and all the land that you see here, and I should reference that anything that you see here, well, here's the JCC, here's our parking lot, here's the Erie Canal, my house is somewhere over here. No, actually, no, it's that way, never mind, sorry, that way. Whoa, wait, I moved. But when you think about the acreage here, 59 acres, and I should express that this center line is the separation between Brighton and Henrietta. And also what you see highlighted here in red, brown, or orange, depending on the color scheme, is 15 acres. But the reality is that we went with the mentality that we may need to sell this facility and all the land that we own to ensure the survival and thriving of the JCC. Well, that went on for a few months before we as a team, as a board, as a community decided the JCC is ours. So we changed the purpose of our real estate, and we have a phenomenal real estate committee working behind the scenes, what feels in, day out, that's been tasked with a simple task, like really, really simple. Sell the land. It's not simple. That's the joke, by the way. It's really not simple. It's to sell the land for no less than $4.5 million, because that will help us on our journey moving forward. So it's a big difference coming from sell the building and sell all the land for $15 million and to sell the land to help us on our journey to tie into what we're doing programmatically on the development front and then with real estate. There's also a few other things that go into selling the land, like infrastructure. To be able to build, there needs to be roadways. I don't think we touched on this at our last town hall session, but this is the town of Henrietta's towpath development and waterfront development plan. The idea here that's been, percolating for a few years at this point now, and it's really starting to come together with different grant submissions, review processes. Henrietta would be the lead agency on this project, is to create a towpath development village on the JCC's acreages of lands here, where roadway infrastructure, potential retail, public parks, baseball fields, etc., would be created. Now, this is a really out there plan. This is a plan that has the opportunity to either bring a lot of great things to the JCC or just will take some more time. We're still in the phase that we don't know what will happen with this plan, but we do know as we're looking towards our real estate needs and selling the land that I showed you on this slide, that Henrietta alone, by going forward with this plan, would save a potential developer anywhere between $3 and $4 million in infrastructure cost. Now that's essential. The essential part is that the land becomes a lot more valuable if people know that the cost will be substantially less to get things built on it. Now, for us, we're trying to think about what we're going to do here. And we'll speak about this when some others come to speak this evening. But the goal here in this area that you see Marcus Park, which used to belong to the JCC some years ago, we want to bring it back home here to the JCC. We want to create that family oasis in our backyard space that lives right here at the JCC. And that's exciting. That's fun. That's the tomorrow of JCCs. That's how we honor the past, that legacy of the past, but think about the future. Tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow. Now, to put this all into perspective, what you see here with the green, the Henrietta plan, this is the overlay of a former plan with how much land we actually own that would be in the hands of a potential buyer. Now, you need this roadways over here to connect this all together. You also need both of the towns to be on board. At this current juncture, Henrietta has talked about a subdivision that would allow for multifamily residences. Brighton can be zoned up to 44 single-family lots. There have been those who think that it's better utilized in an estate lot format, but we can't speak to that because at this point, the only thing that's in our hands is the land and our need to part with it because we're thinking about our future. And that land sale is a really essential part of what we're doing. So I know there'll probably be questions on this, and I'll absolutely bring these slides back on the deck later. But moving right along, land is a big piece of what we're doing. So once again, in no particular order, but a particular order because it's going to say JCC on the left side of the slides. Programming, very key to what we're doing. Our teams are working around the clock, thinking about creative ways to invest into the future of the programming here at the JCC. And they're doing a fantastic job. And when I show a forecasting document in a couple moments, you'll get to see what some of those numbers look like from where we've come from to where we're headed. Land sale, we just talked about it. Prioritizing a $4.5 million land sale so that we can keep up with what we're doing on the programmatic front and also the development front. And then development. The reality is that for us to be successful in our endeavors moving forward, we do believe that there is a need for a comprehensive campaign. And because I've heard, the conversations of the past, I want to really explain to you and show you what all these numbers look like in a moment. Currently behind the scenes, we've been trying to work towards, the future by applying to grants, thinking about what this comprehensive campaign looks like. We've set an internal goal for ourselves of $5 million, which we'll talk more about later on in the presentation. But the great news is thus far, in a little bit over 8 weeks, maybe less, we've already generated close to over $2 million in pledges towards the campaign. And again, I don't come from a development background. I don't know development very well. I'll be the first person to tell you that, and there's many people in the audience that can tell you that. I come from a program service and operational background. So for me, for us to get our cards in order, to put things in the right place, I know that if we do these steps, that operationally we're going to be very sound. And I'd like to show you what some of that may look like using a best case scenario. Everybody loves forecasting models, right? Everybody's ready? Just kidding. So this document, and I apologize for turning my back, but I will have to use the pointer for a moment here. I like to think as the top as programming, the middle section as development, and the bottom as the land sale and those non-cash adjustments and responsibilities that we have. Currently, without getting into too much detail, we have about $10 million of responsibilities. Someone used the word debt, I use responsibilities. But to talk about our future, we have to think about the past just a little bit. And I want to reference the conversational point of, again, and going back to my poker story, we're all dealt different hands of cards. There are things that each of us will never be able to predict that may become a reality. My hand of cards started in 2025, where we've had the chance to do a lot of things on the expense reduction side, thinking about our forecasting models for the future. And we're coming from a 2024 where we see our numbers after development here. and going on a trajectory that goes downward, downward, and downward. And the great news is because 2025, we understand the numbers, we are already trending ahead of all of these numbers. I think that's really exciting. And I think that's a testament to the incredible work that our teams are doing here on a daily basis. But then we get to the middle section, development. Here's our annualized funding. Here are our appeals, our grants, et cetera. And here's that $5 million campaign that we spoke about. Now, when we look at all of this, you think, well, here in 2027, it looks like you actually have that break-even point that you've been looking for. Because your EBITDA, net profit, net loss, with development, will show you a $150,000 gain. But that doesn't take into account these other responsibilities that we have down here. And that's why I say by 2028, that's when we have that real pathway to break even. Like that real pathway. But the good news is that if we continue what we're doing with our forecasting trends, if we're successful in that development campaign, and we do accomplish that land sale for $4.5 million, in 2027, I want everybody to take a peek at our unrestricted cash. Close to $6 million. But more important than that, we would have paid off close to $3.5 to $4 million worth of those responsibilities. And that's a really good thing. Like a really, really good thing. It shows this community that we're making forward progress. And I talk about forward progress every single day here because I think that's exactly what we're accomplishing and achieving together. And I think it's our community that's really the guiding light for us all as we're on this pathway to break even, the pathway to sustainability, that pathway to tomorrow. I really say that I believe that we're the tomorrow of JCCs because we are. 120-year history. The team that we have, the community that we have is truly special. So when we think about that 2028 break-even point, we've touched on it quite a bit of what we need to do to get there. 2028 is that number, that the JCC will finally reach that elusive break-even point. And it's going to take some hard work. And I'm here to tell you tonight, 1 year in, as somebody who just closed on a house here in Rochester 4 weeks ago, that I'm here for the long haul and that we're going to make this work together. Truly. But to make this all work together, it takes more than that one person that we talked about earlier. It takes a team. And while we'll touch on programming right now, it's my honor to call up to the stage in just a moment somebody who I tasked months ago with creating a department. The reality is that Jewish life and Israel life here at the JCC is constantly spoken about. What can we do to take the JCC's Jewish and Israel programming to the next level? Well, when I started, this person was a person. Over the previous months, this individual has created a department and a team that is working around the clock to answer that question that's been pressing for the community. So please join me in welcoming to the stage our Chief Jewish Life and Engagement Officer, Rachel Kest.
Okay. I have a big shoes to follow now. So I'm Rachel Kest, the Chief Jewish Life and Engagement Officer at the JCC. And the foundation of this department is built upon the following 3 pillars: learning, engagement, and community that represents all the ages and stages of life. And before I dive into what's happening in the future and one retrospective, I wanted to just share that 6 of our representatives of our JCC staff will be attending ProCon, which is the JCCA's professional development program at the end of the month. And the whole focus of that conference is on learning, engagement, and community. So with 6 people going, and we'll divide and conquer, we will come back ready, raring to go, learning about best practices from experts and from colleagues and our peers. And we will hopefully be able to put those things into practice. All right. Who was at J-Fest a few weeks ago? Woohoo! So that picture of Rachel up there is pretty amazing. Where is she? Look at that. Thank you for that. We had more than 1,000 people there, and almost all of the Jewish agencies across the city were represented. 180 knishes eaten, plus a lot of pastrami sandwiches. The bounce house had to be deflated one time, but it went back up. And we had tons of fun, and we are looking forward to next year. We are working on a date. It's pretty complicated next year because the Jewish holidays aren't helping our schedule, but we shall work it out, and more on that soon. I'm going to just kind of whip through all this stuff just so you can see it. I have a captive audience. And the stuff's on the website too. You can always call me or email me. So Sukkot is coming up first, Yom Kippur this week, but Sukkot's coming up, and we have a bunch of different things for every age and stage. We have a dinner on the 9th. We have an extra days of coffee and bagels for those Monday and Wednesday at Lifespan. We're going to have it on Friday that week. So come, no registration, just show up. Rabbi Tulek will be teaching Taste of Torah in the Sukkah. We have Kulanu Rock, which is our neurodiverse network, partnering with Chabad. This coming Sunday, it's a pre-Sukkot program. We have a Sukkot family program on the 12th, and then singing with Rabbi Silvana on the 12th. And we're having Shabbat dinners again this year. So those are for everyone, for the lifespan. They are not just for families. We'd love everyone to come. Along with the other things that are happening in the community, there's the commemoration on the 16th. We are having another program, a very interesting program with Dr. Matt Reingold, who hails from Toronto, who will be looking at the art of cartooning and how that has been represented in Israeli culture throughout the last 2 years. So I hope you're able to come. Tell your friends, please register online. It should be very interesting to look at the different cartoons that have come out in the last 2 years. And we'll also be having an art exhibit of Zeev Engelmeyer that'll go up this coming weekend on Sunday, and it'll be here through the 23rd. And these are also the postcards that Shoshka is the name of the artist, who made a post, keeps making postcards every day since October 7th. Authors and Innovators is coming up really soon. We have an amazing lineup of authors this year, starting November 10th through 20th. And the brochures are in the mail, so you should be getting yours really soon. You can register online. It's really excellent this year that we're able to extend it. We have different programs happening in January, March, May, and June. All right, moving on. So this is an area that Jason shared that we're working on growing. And it looks sparse right now, but they made me make it sparse. I wanted to have more information. But every day, if you have a little one, a 0 to 5-year-old, if it's you or a caregiver, we have something every morning at the JCC, Monday through Friday, from that Biffy Borg leads, and every Friday Shabbat Sing. So Shabbat Sing is not just for the little people. It is for everyone. If you ever feel sad and you need a pick-me-up, come at 10 o'clock on Friday morning for some singing and dancing, and I promise you, you will leave feeling better, and you can have some juice too. We have a program with the Shinshanim that we work with the Federation on every Monday. The Shinshanim doesn't start for a few more weeks for kids age 5 through 12 that they do fun things with the Shinshanim. And then we're going to be starting J-Tweens in the Kitchen starting in October. And we're growing. This is just the beginning of this part. Also, we have tons of new Jewish learning and other programs for the 55 plus crowd. You don't have to be 55 to come. You can come. There just happen to be mostly during the day. So we have a whole bunch of different things. Some are weekly, some are monthly. Check out the website. Lifespan has all kinds of classes every day. And we have two things I want to point out that are Marnie Port is coordinating. We received micro grants from the Federation for one night choir and for J Reads. So for those of you who know what choir is, or if you're so interested, you should Google it because it's really interesting. It's when a group of people get together and sing a song in one night. They video it, they record it, and then it's just for fun. So if you like singing in the shower or your car, for instance, like I think I am Gloria Estefan in my car, this is for you. This is for you. You should come and sing. And it doesn't matter if you're good or bad, because I think I'm amazing, although no one else does. So, and J Reads is another pilot program. Again, all on the website. All right, this is my last slide. So we have really exciting events coming up the rest of the year. Hanukkah, will be having a special Hanukkah party on the 14th, which is a little bit before Hanukkah, because Hanukkah starts that night. So it's a little bit of a pre-Hanukkah party. Another art exhibit and speaker coming. Her name is Sharoni Sibini, and she too is from Toronto. And this art exhibit is about disability inclusion. And it's really interesting. She was commissioned by the JCCA to make what's the word I'm looking for? Posters. They're beautiful. And they'll be hung up in January, and she'll be speaking about it. And she's also going to be doing an art and creative workshop utilizing the Jewish Studio Projects methodology, which is out of Berkeley, California. You can also look that up. It's really exciting. We'll be partnering with the Jewish Film Festival in February for a very exciting movie for Jewish Disability Acceptance and Awareness Month, Purim Carnival for all. And then we have an Israeli jazz pianist that's coming in March, which is super, super duper exciting, and other things that are in the works. But those are the things that are confirmed so far. So it's super exciting. And I think that is everything that I have to say. Thank you so much. And I hope to see you at the choir. Don't miss it.
Thank you so much, Rachel. And now it's my honor to introduce somebody who's taken so little and turned it into so much. All the crazy ideas that run through our heads here. Our Director of Tykes and Special Projects, Freda Schneider, everybody.
Well, thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm happy to be here with you today. So my name is Freda Schneider, and I wear two very different hats here at the JCC. One hat that I've worn for a very long time and one hat that's sort of new. So I am the founder and the director of Tykes, Theater Young Kids Enjoy, and I am, oh, thanks. Well, thank you. And I am so very thrilled to talk about our 21st season, which started 3 days ago, with an unbelievable production that really dazzled me and blew me away. It was called Cirque US Stories. And it was an acrobatics act like I've never seen before. I was absolutely mesmerized by it. They travel around the nation, and I was so fortunate to persuade them to come here. And it was the perfect launch for our 21st season right here, 10 feet from where I'm standing. They did mesmerizing things last weekend. So for any of you who were able to attend, I hope you had a miraculous time. Our season continues in October with The Wizard of Oz. So you may have heard a little hoopla about The Wizard of Oz, what with the Broadway show Wicked and then the subsequent movie. The second round of that Wicked movie will be out in November, and we wanted to sort of jump on that commotion bandwagon with The Wizard of Oz here in October. That show will be followed by Are You My Mother in January. So this is probably a book that many of you are familiar with. It is an internationally renowned book by P.D. Eastman, and it was voted one of the top 100 greatest books ever written for kids of all time. We're doing a production in January that will be a world premiere written by our own Tykes staff. So we got permission from the estate of P.D. Eastman to create our own version of this show, a musical on stage. We wrote the script, we wrote the lyrics, and we wrote the score. And we are overjoyed to premiere that show right here in January. And once that's done, we're extra overjoyed at the prospect of working with Plays for New Audiences, a licensing house. And we hope that other children's theaters across the nation will license the rights from us to do that show in their cities. And that will be a wonderful way for this story to travel the nation live on stage, and two, a nice revenue source for the arts department and the JCC. So fingers crossed. I know, I'm so excited. That's a little bit of a new expansion of our direction at Tykes. So that's in January. In the spring, we will do The Jungle Book, which is our 21st partnership with the organization Missoula Children's Theater from Missoula, Montana. So Missoula Children's Theater travels around the nation and puts on shows in a week. And we have partnered with them for so very many years, doing successful productions just in 1 week with children ages 5 all the way through high school. This year's production is The Jungle Book, and it's been one of the most successful theater programs we've done here at Tykes, and I'm really honored to partner again. Our season concludes with A Bad Case of Stripes, which is an award-winning book by David Shannon, and a fantastic, dazzling end to our season. So as I mentioned, our season started 3 days ago, and we've already sold just about 5,000 seats just to our school time shows alone. That's school field trips. That's not counting our weekend shows. So we're off to a strong start. I know, I'm really happy. Thank you. And one more thing that we do, in addition to Kids Stage, which is our summer camp as part of Camp Sisal, we also have after-school classes. And so starting in November, we have a class on The Mitten. It's a book by Jan Brett based on a Hungarian folktale. And so children 7 and up will be able to rehearse and perform that show after school. So just another fun program. So I'm pretty excited about our prospects at Tykes, and I hope that you and your family will be able to join us. The second hat that I wear is special projects, and that's kind of a new hat. So when Jason started, he came up with the idea for a brand new department here at the JCC and asked me to lead it as the director of special projects. So I, of course, said, what is that? Just shortly after saying, I definitely want to do that. So special projects involves high priority projects that sort of propel the JCC forward in our mission and help to drive programmatic growth. So big projects that move the needle in important and significant and exciting ways. And my first and biggest big project started in May when we built the Backyard Adventure Course. You may have seen it out in our backyard. It's a 17-element zip line ropes course that was enjoyed by more than 800 patrons this summer. We built it in May. We trained 16 staff in June, and we got moving fast. So campers at Camp Sisal and Kids Stage use that adventure course every day. It was part of our special programs on the weekend, including J-Fest and our backyard grand opening, and it was used by a number of organizations for private or special events as well. There were 2 levels, 12 feet up and 24 feet up. And of course, the excitement of climbing and exercise and physical activity was a big attraction. But also more than that, it was the idea of promoting self-confidence, teamwork, resiliency, confidence in the children and adults that used our facility and that used this attraction. It was a huge hit, and I can't wait for us to do it again next summer. Also, to expand our backyard offerings, we had 22-foot vertical bikes. That's the picture all the way at the end. 2 bicycles that you can pedal, 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 up, 22 feet into the air until a giant buzzer goes off. And I'm sure if you have been here for even 5 minutes at the JCC, you have seen some of the spin art created by our 2 spin art bicycles. I joked this morning in our staff presentation that approximately 100 quadrillion spin art masterpieces were made this summer, and they are, I think, on every single refrigerator in Jewish Rochester. So if by any chance you do not have a spin art masterpiece on your refrigerator, there are 10,000 extras downstairs in our Gesher lower level. So we have one for you. Also, our discussion of our backyard would not be complete without talking about M Space, which is this cabin right here. It was a project in honor of Emily Bobry. It's a sensory-friendly space in our backyard, beautifully remodeled with wooden paneling inside and rugs and air conditioning, unheard of in an outdoor space for a summer camp. And inside are all kinds of amazing sensory-friendly activities and hands-on games that are sort of designed to help our campers and members of the public with emotional regulation and to have a comfortable, relaxing space. So our backyard has been just a huge success this summer, and we will only expand it further and further each summer. Another special project was our Wolk gross motor rooms. So this is the gross motor room that we have used in our Wolk Children's Center for years and years. Perfectly lovely, but there's more. Our special project was to renovate and to create 2 brand new gross motor rooms. This is our gross motor room 17. We got all new carpeting. We redid the walls. We painted them. We had our Tykes artist, Kate Boss, do hand painting on the walls to match the murals. And we got this incredible, fantastic climbing structure from Cedar Works. If you ever have the opportunity to go down and see it in person, this gorgeous picture doesn't do it near justice. It's a magnificent room that will help our Wolk Children's Center students to develop their gross motor skills and provide developmentally appropriate activities for them, and will also be available to the public on the weekends. Our second gross motor room, room number 4, is for littles, kids ages 0 to 2 years old, and same thing. We redid the walls, we redid the carpet, and we got this amazing developmentally appropriate structure to build their gross motor skills. So this will be a huge enhancement to our offerings for the Wolk Children's Center students, and again, also for the public. So special projects, the great thing about them is they never, ever end. We can do special projects for all time with the goal, obviously, of enhancing our offerings at the JCC, and there is so much more on the horizon. So my future special projects include a master site plan. So Jason showed you all of those diagrams, those land diagrams, and executing those plans, creating additional more and exciting elements on all of that land, and to develop that land in a proper, logical, systematic, coherent way. That will be my job. It will expand our backyard offerings with more elements, more adventuresome components, including, for example, an upgrade to the baseball field, to the fencing around the baseball field, and also our drainage system. If you've ever been in our backyard on a rainy day, you probably know just exactly how important that is for our future expansion and for the viability of our backyard to be a really exciting place that we can use in spring, summer, and fall. So that will be a big component of it. And I really look forward to working on those plans and also to hearing your input on what you would like to see in the backyard. So I thank you very much for all of your support and all of your enthusiasm for Tykes and for our special projects. And I look forward to a lot of exciting work in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Freda. Now, I don't know if words do enough justice for how important this next person is that's coming up to speak. Brian Dengler has been a staple here at the JCC now for 30 years. 30 years. And the truth be told, there's not a person that goes above and beyond more in this institution than Brian has over the course of those years. Always on call, around the clock, and just what's best for this community and center. So it's my honor to announce the second coming of the king of rock and roll, Brian Elvis Dengler.
Good evening. I'll agree with Isabel and I'll say ugh when I see my picture and we'll just click off of there. I don't have all the fancy program stuff. A lot of my stuff is behind the scenes. Some things are upstairs in our penthouse, which I would guess most of you haven't seen before, but that's what makes the air conditioning work and the heat in the winter and the water run. And a lot of that over this last year there's been a lot of changes. There's a lot more that's needed, but we've made some changes up there. The forward facing stuff that I'd like to talk about is things that you might see every day when you come into the J. The top 3 pictures, that is our courtyard. I said this in our morning's meeting. I've been here over 30 years. I've never seen the courtyard look that good. We have pressure washed the flooring. We've painted the squares. We had a landscaper come in and really finally clean up the space. I don't know if you, when you're crossing the bridge, if you've ever looked out onto the courtyard, those 3 circular pillars were covered in moss. We got it all cleaned up. The tribute garden in the middle there, that was reset. So we really put time and effort into getting that cleaned up. Jason already spoke about the lower courtyard for the children's space. It really made a difference. If you see some of the even looking at the facade of the building, before and after, the black dirt that has been on there, the building was built in 2000. It hadn't been cleaned in 25 years. It really made a difference, and it did. The colors are popping. I got some comments from members who noticed when we had it done. The picture on the right, finally got the parking lot striped. I was getting a lot of comments of questions about where to park, and it needed to be done. Very thankful that we got that done this summer, as well as the picture to the left of that, the parking lot lights. 1973, they hadn't been painted. So over 50 years, it was really down to just the bare metal. You didn't even know that they were painted. So we were very happy. I'll give credit to Sean Stanton. He's not with us tonight, but he was out there in the heat. We beat it in before the rain came and got them all. So when you pull in along the driveway along the JCC, you'll see it. And I think it makes a great difference. And then what the team has been calling snap, crackle, and pop. I don't notice if you notice when you pull in, the front lawn seems always mowed, and we just don't have enough man hours to be constantly mowing it. But thanks to a very generous donation, we were able to get a set of 3 robo mowers, and they are slick. They are very impressive. It just mows constantly. We've had to chase a couple kids away. I don't know if they think it's a toy or an animal, but they've gone chasing up to them. So We're about to put them away for the winter, but come next spring, they're in the front and part of the backyard. So it's a nice addition, and it does help because it frees up some man hours. We can be fixing some other things. And I'm going to stop there and just say thank you for all your support and hand this back over to Jason.
Brian Dengler, everyone, thank you so much. And again, Brian's being modest because it goes so much more than the pictures that you just saw on screen. The main lobby elevator, which has been down for some years, is currently operational. Brand new basketball court systems for our full court will be in operation within the next few weeks, Brian, if not this week. So back to the full court operations, painting, fixing, listening to the community at large. Really special thank you to Brian. Now, when I think of the words art, culture, and creativity, I think that's only synonymous with one person that I can come to think of at every given moment. Please join me in welcoming our Chief Creative Officer, Ralph Moranto, to the stage.
Thank you, everybody. So as Jason said, I'm Ralph Morano. My title is Chief Creative Officer, and I just celebrated 20 years of working here at the JCC. And when I started here, I was actually a part-time employee. I was brought in just to run the theater, and I had already been working here as an actor and a director, and I already loved this place. But once I got to work here, I really, really just dove in to try to bring more people into this building, using the arts as a driver to get people to come in and see what an amazing place this is. And so my goal for all of those years has been to make the JCC a major center for arts and culture and a destination place for arts and culture in the Rochester area. And I have to say, I believe we're finally getting there. It's taken a few years, but we're getting there. So we just finished our 48th season of theater with the amazing production of An American in Paris, which we partnered with the Draper Center for. American in Paris was the most attended theatrical production in the JCC's history. Over 3,300 people came and saw that show. We were sold out almost every single night, and it became a driver to the community about the impact of the quality programming that we have here at the JCC. So much so that it drove subscription sales that we are already, even though our season doesn't open until November, we are already surpassed any level of subscription sales we've ever had in our history. So the arts are growing at the JCC. We have been using this amazing space and the programs we have here as a launching pad to bring other things in. We've been doing concerts. We, for the last 3 years, have been a venue for the Rochester Fringe Festival. Over 4,000 people during an 11-day period came into this theater and the space down the hall to see all kinds of crazy different shows for the Fringe Festival. And I want to thank our incredible team, especially Mark, Elena, and Alec, who really pulled all of that together, taking care of 4,000 customers and 50 different shows in 11 days. In fact, when I think back about the growth of the JCC arts programs, I remember that when I first started working here, this Heart Theater was active for public events about 30 days out of the entire year. The last year, it was over 150 events happening in this space. So it is a huge, huge growth, and it is a huge driver of people coming into the JCC. So thank you for all of you who come and support, who donate, who attend, who subscribe. We couldn't do it without all of you. Another passion project for me and for the community is our play Survivors. Excuse me. We commissioned this play in 2019. Thousands and thousands of school children in the Rochester area have already seen it. It is an education program about the Holocaust, but it is also a lesson for young people about what happens when hate becomes normalized. And this play has had a powerful impact. The playwright, Wendy Cout, and I say we are changing hearts and minds one student at a time. Not only is it here in Rochester, but we have been licensing the play to other cities. There's a production in LA with a completely diverse cast that is taking it to inner city schools in LA, reaching thousands of school children there. The Canadian government in British Columbia has funded a tour of a theater company there, taking it to over 25 schools this fall. Our 10 survivors who are the heart and soul of that play are having their life stories told across North America. And we're super proud of all of that happening. Our Jewish Film Festival just completed 25 years. It was an incredible success. And one of the cool things about that is we had sellouts, we had huge crowds, we had our biggest crowds since the pandemic. And that is quite an accomplishment for a film festival when we know most people are just sitting on their butts on their recliners watching their big screen TVs that they bought during the pandemic. So getting people out to see films together in a community like that is really exciting to see that happening again. So I want to thank everybody for participating in all of those programs. We are going to just see the arts continue to grow and be a bigger and bigger part of the JCC. I got an audience. I got to try to pitch my season to you. We kick off our season in November with an incredible play called Still. I call it a romantic dramedy. I saw this play in New York. It's absolutely incredible. It's about two people who were lovers when they were younger, went their separate ways, and then reconnect later in life. And we explore if they still have an attraction, but also if they still have the things that separated them as a thing that's going to divide them. It's a fantastic two-person play. I saw it in an off-Broadway theater in New York, and I chased down the author until she gave me the permission to do it. So we are, outside of the off-Broadway production, we are the first theater in the country to get the rights to this brand new play. End of the Rainbow is the story of Judy Garland on her final concert tour. Jasmine Singer, who you may know that name from WXXI, is going to be playing Judy Garland. It's a play with music. It is an absolutely hysterical, heartbreaking, and entertaining piece, including singing some of Judy's best tunes, but also really understanding the story behind Judy Garland. Hitmakers Rewind. How many people have been to Hitmakers? Rochester's most popular long-standing music series. Every year we sing songs that people know, but we tell you the stories behind the music as well. This year, Hitmakers Rewind, we are reflecting back on our 10 years of Hitmakers, and the audience members got to vote on what of the 336 songs we've done over the last 10 years they wanted to see come back. So we have 240 of them, so it's a 5-hour and 32-minute show. Now, we picked the top ones, and you're definitely going to want to see that. It's a first-rate cast. It's the kind of show that people come and see, and they go, these people are all local? And I say, yes, they are. Super proud to finally bringing Lynn Nottage's Pulitzer Prize-winning play Sweat to the stage. We were in rehearsals and literally 3 days away from opening when we were forced to shut down for the pandemic. And we are thrilled that we are finally able to bring that show back. It is an incredible story about what is happening in the global economy. It's based on real-life interviews with out-of-work factory workers in Reading, Pennsylvania. It is not to be missed. It is a stunning, powerful, interesting, and downright funny play. Make sure you check that out. And then last but definitely not least, The Sound is a world premiere musical we'll be presenting here in May. We'll be working directly with the creative team, who are all Broadway professionals, on this new play. I've been to New York now twice for concert workshop readings of it. It is absolutely incredible. The music is spectacular. The story has you on the edge of your seat, and it is based on the true story of what happened in 1943 when Hitler ordered the deportation of Danish Jews, and ordinary Danish citizens helped 7,500 of the 8,000 Jews in Denmark escape to Sweden on fishing boats in less than 48 hours. And this story, one of the writers, Charlotte Cohn, is alive today because her father and her uncle were on one of those boats. The score is by Christian Douglas, an up-and-coming composer who is currently starring on Broadway in Moulin Rouge. The music is incredible. It is the most uplifting, powerful, beautiful story that is not to be missed. And we are developing it here with the writers. But I think what you're going to be able to do is when you see that on the Tony Awards, after it's on Broadway, you're going to say, I saw that at the JCC. And that's the kind of work we want to do. And we couldn't do that without all of your support. So thank you for supporting arts and culture here at the JCC. As I said, 150 events a year instead of 30 events a year, 50 years in this building. If you're in one of the broken seats, I apologize. If you're in one of the seats, if you look closely, I have a nice lady who comes in with her needle and thread and sews the ripped fabric. None of that is going to happen anymore. We have started a campaign to renovate this beautiful space, all new lights, all new sound, all new seats, all kinds of safety improvements. This thing that makes really funny noise when you walk on, it's going to be replaced. Safety stuff backstage, new hearing loop assistant. And for any of you ladies who have waited in line more than about 5 or 10 minutes in line in the ladies' room, a renovation to the ladies' room that's going to add 3 additional stalls, so you won't have to spend your entire intermission waiting in line. I am thrilled to say thanks to some very, very generous donors and grants, we are at around $825,000 towards our $1 million goal. So we are now launching a seat campaign. So if you would like to have your name on the seat that you're sitting in, it's $1,000. Email will be coming out. We hope that everybody will help us get to the finish line so that we can make all of this happen. Thank you, and I love being at the JCC, so thank you for welcoming me.
Thanks. Wow, Ralph, thank you, thank you, thank you. Isn't that incredible? I had the chance to see some of these productions live myself over the course of this year, and I have blown away. As somebody, as a native of New York City, I can confidently say, Ralph, you and the team, you produce incredible, incredible, incredible productions. With that said, I'd like to introduce one of the newer members of the team. Andre, what's it been, 3 months now? 3 months. So, it's been 3 months. It's felt like so much longer because Andre has made such a substantial impact in just his first few months of being here. So please join me in welcoming our new general manager of fitness, wellness, aquatics, recreation, and membership, Andre Moore.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. Again, I'm Andre Moore. I'm the general manager for fitness, wellness, aquatics, recreation. A little bit about myself. I've been working in the fitness and wellness space for about 30 years. I moved to Rochester from Southern Virginia about 3 months ago, and I'm very honored to be here as part of the team. I do have 2 daughters. I have a 19-year-old and a 14-year-old who are still in Virginia. One's a freshman in high school. The other one is a sophomore in college. And although they're, not very happy that daddy's not there with them, they are very excited about the prospect of possibly having a white Christmas when they come and visit. But I was having a conversation earlier, and apparently I need to have them come back for President's Day so that they can have a white President's Day, because apparently we don't get snow up here at Christmas. So I'm not making any promises. Todd Ammo, our sports and recreation manager, is a Rochester native with 10 years of experience in sports management. Todd's outgoing nature and can-do attitude is a welcome addition to the team. We also have Kimberly Van Dyke, who is a new member of our team, and she's the membership sales manager. She has over 12 years of experience in health and wellness industry. She started out as a fitness specialist and performance coach before moving into sales. In any capacity, she loves helping to get people going on their health and wellness journey and enjoys doing so here at the J. Kimberly's office is up front by the front desk right next to Ann. I'm sure most of you know Ann. And Todd is in the gym. His office is right there in the gymnasium. So feel free to stop by and say hello to them and welcome them to the team. Some program highlights for you. First, group exercise classes. Based on member feedback that we received from the last survey, we have added 13 new classes to the schedule, with more on the way, and you'll be seeing some more of those come out in January of 2026. Sports and recreation program development. With Todd's leadership, we will have new and exciting programs being developed. For example, a new youth football and basketball skills and drills program began just this past week. We are also looking forward to new adult leagues and tournaments forming, along with more community engagement as well. We truly want our JCC to be a welcoming environment for all athletes in our community, regardless of age, skill, or ability. Targeted fitness programming. Our fitness and wellness department has begun offering specialized training opportunities such as pickleball, skills development, and injury prevention. And we are also developing an off-season sport-specific training and conditioning program for teens and adults. The Employee Wellness Committee, the newly formed Wellness Committee, has 2 of our fitness, wellness, aquatics, and recreation team members serving in leadership roles. We have Carrie Krimpler, our group fitness manager, serving as co-chair, and Adam Drexler, fitness and personal training director, who is leading monthly challenges. Some of our department priorities moving forward. First and foremost, we are working hard to recruit and retain staff. A lot of you know that recruiting and retaining lifeguards has been a challenge, but with renewed focus, we will now ensure that we have an active pipeline of recruits to keep the aquatics department fully staffed. We are recruiting personal trainers to keep up with the demand for sessions and building our Child Watch staff to help with the expansion of our Child Watch program. We're going to continue to develop and expand sports and recreation programs. The Rochester JCC was once the place in the community for sports and recreation participation for all ages and abilities, and we want to be that place once again. Last but not least, we want to improve member and program participant satisfaction by increasing the quality of the customer experience, delivering robust programming, and continuing with equipment and facility improvements. Now, these things don't happen overnight, so our focus is to get better and better each day. And with your feedback, we'll get there where we want to go. So thank you very much for your time and participation.
Thank you, Andre. You know, as somebody that grew up in overnight camp and day camp, I thought I saw a lot. Ask my niece and nephew who had the chance of being at Camp Seneca Lake this summer of how special experience it is. And it's even more special because our executive director, Marissa Klegman, who I am proud to welcome to the stage, is doing bigger and better things day by day. So Marissa, please join me on stage. Marissa Klegman, everyone.
Hi, everyone. I'm Marissa. I'm excited to talk a little bit tonight about Camp Seneca Lake and everything that we're doing there to have an impact on hundreds and hundreds of Jewish campers that join us each summer on the shores of Seneca Lake. So this was our 98th summer in operation, and we had one of our most successful summers to date. Camp enrollment grew 23% from 2024 to 2025, which enabled us to reach even more campers and spread our impact even further to people who hadn't necessarily experienced the power of Jewish overnight camp previously. We had 85% of our 2024 campers return to us in 2025, which is exceptional camper retention that is well above industry averages. And we also welcomed 136 brand new campers to camp this summer, many of whom were local Rochester children who were supported by the Farish Foundation's Project Campfire initiative. Many of you have probably heard of the Project Campfire initiative, which provides one session of tuition free for every Rochester Jewish camper to attend camp each summer. We had nearly 350 camper enrolled sessions total this year, and there were 33 campers who joined us from across Israel, including 19 who joined us through our partnership with the Jewish Federation of Greater Rochester and the city of Modi'in to bring campers specifically from that community to Camp Seneca Lake. This year, we also introduced our Taste of CSL program, which brought 30 first-time third graders, primarily and some fourth graders, to camp for a very, very special taste of camp where they got a highly curated, amazing 6-day experience that left them all wanting more. And we've now converted many of them to becoming lifelong campers this summer and for many summers to come. In addition to our campers this summer, we welcomed more than 500 alumni and community members down Camp Road. We had a number of events throughout the course of the summer, including community Shabbats in each session, where we welcomed community members to join us for Shabbat dinner and services. We had an alumni weekend in June. We had a mitzvah day, which was an opportunity for people to come down and help give back to camp. We also had a revamped Visitors Day this summer for parents and grandparents, where we welcomed them down Camp Road to experience camp through the magical experience of camp through their own children and grandchildren's eyes. And finally, it's not on here, but we also welcomed nearly 130 people to our family camp this August. Getting kids to camp is part of our goal, but the experience that they have there is equally important. We sent more than 20 teens on our first ever CSL in Central Europe trip organized through BBYO, where they visited Germany, Poland, the Czech Republic, and Austria, and got to experience both the Jewish history in those places, as well as fun bonding moments together as a CSL cohort. And as I mentioned, it's not just about getting kids to programs, it's also about what happens when they're there. And the outcome metrics from our families are completely off the charts in terms of them reporting about the positive experiences that their campers had. We participate in a national survey where we're ranked against all of the other Jewish overnight camps, more than 60 camps that participate. And we're in sort of the top quartile for almost every single metric in terms of the campers' experience at camp. 98% of our families confirmed that camp created a sense of belonging and a positive experience for their camper this summer. 97% of our families confirmed that camp was an environment that fostered Jewish pride, and 99% said that camp helped their camper create appreciation for celebrating Shabbat. And those are just a few of the incredible metrics that we have that demonstrate the true impact on these children's lives from coming to Camp Seneca Lake. So as we wrap up a highly successful summer in 2025, we are already looking forward to our 99th summer next summer in 2026. We are excited that we launched registration a few weeks ago for our returning families. Registration actually launched today for new families who have not previously had a camper at Camp Seneca Lake. We are well over 200 campers enrolled already, with more than 5,000 camper days enrolled, which is pretty incredible to have that many people already signing up. About half of our 2025 campers have already signed up to rejoin us for 2026. So we're expecting our largest post-COVID summer in 2026. We can't wait to welcome so many campers, staff, and community members back to camp next summer to experience this life-changing opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Marissa. And as I said, camp is such a special place. And out of curiosity, who here has a family member that has attended Camp Seneca Lake? Big round of applause for everyone in the room again. You know, as a complete flagship program of the JCC, it's incredible to see. And as I told you from my own family experience this summer, what a special place it is. You know, and staying on the theme of camp, it's my honor to introduce the director of our recently brought back name, Camp Sisal, who is a pipeline into the incredible things that we do at Seneca Lake, but also for the community here at home, here in Rochester. Lori Ball, everyone.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lori Ball. I've been with the JCC for almost 13 years. I'm almost an adult. And I'm really excited to continue to bring the magic of camp to the JCC. It's actually really intimidating to be the last person to come up after all these wonderful leaders at the J and my colleagues who I've worked with. Seeing all the great things that everyone's doing. So I'll try my best to be as good as them. So I'm sure many of you in this room have a connection with our beautiful 70-acre Camp Sisal at Marcus Park in Honeyway Falls, and you may have worked as a counselor. Your kids or grandkids went there, or you yourself spent the summer there as a camper. My oldest two went to that campus, and I worked there too. as we grow into our space here at the Joseph Kozel Recreational Complex, which is the backyard, we want to continue the legacy that was Camp Sisal at Marcus Park and to build on new traditions with our newest generations of campers and staff. And we're growing, yay! We continue to grow in numbers of campers every year. Our final count for 2024 was 170 campers with 592 camper weeks. And in 2025, just this past summer, we had 225 campers with 773 weeks. So that was really cool. And registration is already open for this coming summer in 26. And we have 34 campers already registered with 240 camper weeks, which is really great. And so here are some highlights from this last summer, the 2025 season. So this summer we expanded our season to 9 weeks, adding that last week in August, which was really important for many families who did not have the ability to take time off. Along with our classic Camp Sisal specials like nature, Teva, art, drama, music, and athletics, we added some new activities, which Frida mentioned. This included the incredible adventure course in the backyard, which was a huge highlight for campers. It fostered independence and confidence. And we also added spin art bikes and the vertical bikes as well, which is something totally new and different to keep the campers engaged and eager for more. And if you want a spin art paper, I have 100 of them downstairs. You're welcome to them. They're really cool. So the JCC also partnered with the music and education program for our music program. Our visiting music specialist, Aner, came all the way from Israel, and he brought music and culture to camp, and his impact was felt deeply, and we're all eager for him to return next year. And thanks to the aquatics department, our swim program included daily swim lessons led by certified instructors, where the campers improved technique and gained confidence in the pool. And if you go in the backyard, you see a beautiful blue building. As Frida mentioned, this is M Space. It is a cabin honoring Emily Bobry. And it provided campers with a calming and inclusive space with air conditioning, where they were able to express creativity, feel supported, and experience a true sense of belonging at camp. And that's really what camp is all about. It's about adventure, independence, and belonging. And I cannot wait for summer of 2026. Thank you.
Let's hear it for Lori, everyone. And Lori, you knocked it out of the park. There's no need to worry there. Did a great job. Thank you for that. So please join me. Well, I should say, as we're getting ready to conclude up, we have just a couple more points before we get to that riveting question and answer session that I've been preparing all week for. So excited to answer any of the questions that our teams, both here in person and the audience, may have. But before that, I'm going to welcome back to the stage for just a brief moment our board president, Isabel Goldman.
So my reason for coming back up here at this moment was to talk to you a little bit about our campaign, our fundraising campaign. But, quite frankly, I'm coming up here to talk to you about why we should all be part of this campaign and why we should give to the JCC. And there is nothing I could say that would be nearly as impactful as all of these people who just spoke before me. It is brilliant to hear the amount of work and energy, creativity that has gone into all of these programs and continues to energize the JCC. I just want to take a couple of moments, unlike the talented people who spoke before me and have no notes and come up here and are brilliant. I have some notes. So I will use them briefly. But as I said, the reason to give to the JCC is everything that you just saw and everything that you just heard. Thank you. Over the past 4 months, and Jason alluded to this earlier, we've been in the silent phase of a campaign. The campaign, as you know, is called The Future Is Ours. And we've been deeply grateful and gratified by the enormous response, the early response that we've had. Jason mentioned the $2 million that we have already have committed. And that is a wonderful start to this campaign. I want to give a special recognition to Don Braveman and Harold Bobry, without whom we never would have had that much money so quickly and so fast. They did a brilliant job of getting this campaign off the ground. The campaign is all about ensuring that the JCC is not here just for today, but thriving for, of course, for all the generations to come for the next 120 years at least. And to continue to make it, stronger, better, more creative, although that's hard to do at this point. We have three primary areas that we are going to be focusing on during this campaign. One of them is stabilizing our finances while we are internally working on revenue generating businesses and watching them continue to grow. Point number 2 would be making essential building enhancements. You heard a lot about that from Brian and from Jason earlier, and you saw the pictures. They're brilliant, they're beautiful, and we have so much more to do to continue to make our campus safe and welcoming and vibrant. And then we want to, of course, always be expanding programmatic initiatives so that we can enrich the lives of all of our members and the community, and always staying focused on the J, or the Jewish, in our name. So starting tonight, actually starting right now, this campaign is open. We're going to reach out to our entire membership to share all the details of the campaign, so you can be expecting and will be receiving messaging, either an email or text or mail or social media, but we will find you and we will get the message out to you so that you're going to know everything that we're doing. We hope that, you'll join us by being as generous as you can and maybe taking advantage of end of year tax planning, and certainly by adding your voice and your commitment. Every single gift, no matter what size, makes a difference. And every single person who steps forward is also making a big difference, because it is a powerful message that you and we believe in the JCC and its future. Please know that you can always, if you have a question about the campaign, you can contact me directly. You can contact Jason directly. You can contact Harold Bobry directly. We're all here waiting for and happy to answer any questions. If you don't call us, we'll call you, but we will be in touch. Together, we're going to ensure that this JCC, this home for our entire Jewish community, will remain for the 120 years, and that we all know that the future is indeed ours. Thank you all so much for coming tonight. We appreciate it.
So at this point, I think our incredible team should have been passing around what I like to consider, that story that Ralph told me not to tell again. Where I lost that poker bet 19 years ago, cards were put in my hands that really defined my life. So I wanted the JCC to hand to you your own playing card. A playing card that's representative of the 5 values that we spoke about earlier in the presentation, that are represented in the corners, but centralized in the middle by Kahila, community. Now, the backside, you'll see an incredible fact sheet that speaks to some of those highlights that have occurred over the course of the year that I've had the pleasure of being part of this community. More so than that, if you scan this QR code, go online, scan the QR code here on the document, I'm sure it'll take you to some sort of donation link, but at the same time underneath that, there is so much more information about all the things that we discussed tonight, section by section by section. And for us, it was really important to do this because with strong progress in programming, real estate, and development, we're on track for financial sustainability by 2028. The cards are in our hands, and together we hold the winning hand for the JCC's future. Now, that may sound cliche or corny, but it's the truth. The cards are in our hands. And with your partnership today, we not only close the gap of the present, we build the foundation for independent sustainability, fiscal strength, and a JCC prepared to lead for the next generation because we are the tomorrow JCCs. So on behalf of the entire team, and with gratitude immensely to this community for being who you are, thank you for being with us this evening, and I look forward to 120 more. And now I'm going to get a bit more intimate down in the crowd. Ralph, I think, what are we doing? Who has the microphones? Okay, so I am happy to answer any questions, and I know that some may not have the ability or time to stay with us this evening, but please know that you are more than welcome to contact us at any time. In the back of the room, we have both Brian and Michael on that side who have a microphone for those who may want to ask any questions. We ask in the fairness of time that we try to, answer the questions that you really have, burning on your mind. I'd love to hear everyone's story, and I'm so happy to do so right in the lobby, in my office at any time, but I want to make sure that we have time for your questions so that we can get to as many as possible. On that note, we did have a very large audience of over 100 people join us on Zoom this evening, and I know there will be questions that are posted in the chat that I believe Ralph or another member of Ralph will be reading out loud when the time comes for it. But let's start with some questions in the room, and if they're directed to me, great. If they're directed to the team, even better, I can sit down. But happy to answer anything that you have on your mind. Questions? Microphone's coming to you. We've got this.
So wonderful, wonderful presentation. Very exciting what's happening. One concern though, if you're going to sell the real estate, I mean, one of the great things of Camp Sisal was the woods and all that space. And so, with the crayfish in the creek and with that big hill that was there and the pavilions in the woods and all that. I don't know how you can do that here if you sell all the real estate. It seemed like only a small bit would be retained to capture that magic of Camp Sisal.
So great question. The question, just to be repeat, did everyone hear the question? Okay. It's something that we speak about quite frequently of how can we capture that essence of, honoring the past. And in full transparency to everyone in the room, and that's the only way that I'll operate moving forward with all of us, is that there's some really hard decisions that we're going to have to make over the next few months and years. Now, the reality is, with a more successful development campaign or an expedited process for what we're doing on program and operations, retaining the land is more of a realistic possibility. The reality is, given our current financial situation, which called for us to run out of cash in July of this year, that we've extended outward into sometime in 2026 with a couple of rough points, the end of 2026, we're trying to think about the best pathway to ensure that the JCC remains the vibrant center that it is. And the only thing that we could settle on was figuring out by selling the land in conjunction with program and operations and then the development campaign. So we do want to create that new and renewed campus for our family programs in the backyard and for Camp Sisal. And it may be a small footprint, but you have my word that strategically from a master site planning perspective, we're going to make it feel like a really good home back there. And I know that's not the answer that everyone may want to hear, but it's the truthful one. We're going to have to make some decisions based on the cards that have been dealt at this time with the intention of the future, sustainability of the JCC for as many years as possible. It's hard because, when you do the numbers, and again, for anyone that wants, we can always schedule a separate financial conversation with our CEOs, Sean Stanton and myself, and we can go over the numbers in a lot more detail than we did briefly with the forecasting models on the screen. We're open to all ideas, really. I mean, if the right offer comes along for one of the parcels of land, whether it be on the Brighton side or the Henrietta side, that leaves a lot more land in our wheelhouse to work with and to operate on. So it's really about getting the word out to the community in the right stages and places of what we're trying to do here. Because if we can retain land with the intention of really developing, an even larger space, that's great. But to do that, we're also going to need substantially more dollars. For reference points, to put an outdoor pool, and I know that's something that's been on the mind of the community for years, it's not a $100,000 thing. You're talking about $3, $4, $5 million to do it correctly, given the current circumstances that we have, dollars that we just don't have today. But as we're making that forward progression, and with my promise to you that we're building towards the future, we're trying to figure all these things out. And we'll be doing these town hall twice a year and a lot more informational sessions that will be released throughout the course of the months to keep everybody updated of exactly what's going on. Other questions?
Yeah, just to add to what you're saying, this really isn't a question, but just an observation. At the beginning of your session, you basically said you were going to lose everything, the facility, the land, everything. And now you have really a lot more hope in this building and a future and a great outlook. So, it might be a smaller footprint, but the heart is so much bigger, and we appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you for that, truly. Thank you.
All right, I have a Zoom question. Can you talk about opportunities for those without means to obtain membership and participate in other programs through scholarship?
So that's a big conversational point that we're trying to address from the program and operations side. And the truth is, we've put out a lot of grant opportunities, both locally and, to the outside world, where we hope that we'll have a really good pool of scholarship dollars incoming. And as we're continue to advance on what we're doing on the program side with, those change of revenue points happening behind the scenes, I think we will have substantially more dollars available for some of those programs, early childhood, summer camp, membership, etc. These are conversations that we're currently having behind the scenes, and look out for a lot more information on those in the coming weeks and months, depending on the different areas. For camp, I know that information has already started to trickle down. For membership, it's a bit of a future conversation that we're currently working on as well, but it's all being worked on behind the scenes.
Marissa, you want to add a little bit on that?
Yeah, I just want to add from the Camp Seneca Lake standpoint, through the Farish Foundation's Project Campfire Initiative, camp is free for all Jewish campers coming from Rochester, which is a first of its kind initiative nationally. There is no other Jewish summer camp that is completely free for residents of a particular community just based on the fact that they live there. And we're getting really significant, us and the Farish Foundation obviously are getting very significant national attention on the way that we've been able to expand access to camp and eliminate a family's having to decide, how can I afford this? Should I send one kid or the other kid because I can't afford it for both kids? That's no longer something that any Jewish family that lives in Rochester has to think about. And we're really, really proud of that inclusivity.
Thanks,
Grateful to the Farish Foundation.
Thanks, Marissa. Question over there.
Have you considered volunteerism to supplement your funding?
We have. So, the cards that you have in front of you, volunteer, engage, donate, they are all equally important, if not more so at certain times than the other. Behind the scenes, we're currently working on initiatives to help with, those who may be interested in volunteering on different committees here around the JCC. Now, these are processes that we were working on behind the scenes. And if you have any questions on them or are interested in learning more about those opportunities, please send an email directly to myself. Kathleen would be more than happy to ask. I know I'm volunteering, Kathleen. I don't know where she just went. Kathleen is in the back, our incredible executive assistant. And we can go into a lot of details about what that pertains. So the answer is yes. We would look forward to welcoming volunteers to doing a lot with us in the near future.
Hello. One way to ensure the future is to not only do things that enrich the Jewish community, but to engage in some outreach to the non-Jewish community to let them know that the doors are open to people who aren't Jewish. And do you have any plans, are there any plans afoot to reach out beyond the Jewish community here in Rochester?
So I don't think those plans ever stop. The reality is, and the truth of the matter is, depending on who you're asking on a specific day, when you think about our membership base and our user base here at the JCC, we would tell you that it's probably 50% Jewish, 50% non-Jewish. Our programs and initiatives are open to all. Our marketing campaigns are not targeted to any one type or one person. They're targeted to the community. Being a Jewish community center, yes, our focus is on Jewish values, but believe those values, and we've heard stories of how they speak to everybody. Because who doesn't want to be a part of something that has respect? Who doesn't want something that has compassion, that's welcoming? So our plan is to market to all. And we want to drive as many people in the doors as possible for all of the great programs and initiatives that we have here. And now it's me buzzing with my insulin pump. Sorry, everyone. But the reality is that to do that, in addition to the great work that we're trying to now do behind the scenes from a marketing and engagement perspective, we're going to need everyone's voices here as well. We want this building to be really representative of who we are, a community center. And we're here for our community here in Rochester. But we will never lose track of the focus that we're representative of our Jewish nature and our Jewish values here. But we're open to all.
Sorry, I have to say that something I didn't know before, and as the other people said here, we mourned the loss of Camp Sisal, and then we heard that there is a lot of space being bought, and we thought, okay, in a few years it will be more wooded areas, as the other person said, and now it's all going to be sold. It's very disappointing. I understand there's money. It's a business like all the other businesses in town. It's just very hard to hear that all the wonderful programs not going to include the wooded areas around. And unfortunately, I think some people just say, okay, there are other expensive wooded area I can send my kid to, even though people love JCC and love Camp Sisal. That's a comment that I wasn't going to make until I came here, and here we are. So it's very sad.
Well, thank you for the comment. And just to repeat it, the question was, or comment was based upon the fact that years ago, and please correct me if I'm misphrasing anything, when we purchased land that had a lot of wooded areas, we were told that the concept of Camp Sisal would return to the JCC. And as a result, the promises went on for some time that we would eventually get back into the concept of what existed at Marcus Park, and I'm phrasing here, to bring it back here to the JCC. Now, there's two ways to answer the questions, and to be very truthful. If we were in a position, and again, I've been here for going on 12 months now, to retain the land, we most certainly would. What we've been trying to do here is to make sure that not only do we maintain the JCC, but we build on those promises of the past while thinking towards the future. The concept that we're living with here is that before this year, Camp Sisal hasn't been in existence for 5 or 6 years. We heard the community loud and clear where it stated how important of a piece it was to the JCC of Greater Rochester and the Rochester community at large. So we started taking the necessary steps to re-engage in those discussions, transitioning from summer days at the J back to Camp Sisal. And if the adventure course and M Space and the planning that Freda presented on the stage is any hope or beacon to show that we're really committed to trying to figure out what we can do to bring back the magic of that space, we're going to try very hard. Now, I don't know how much wooded area we'll be able to maintain, truthfully, but we will be with the intention of really designing a space that speaks to this community. And the fact that we're designing a space and thinking about that space when just mere months ago we were thinking about the doors closing forever here, I would gladly take that to make sure the JCC remains in this community. So it's my hope that we can figure it out and give a better answer, but that's the truthful one at the moment.
Thank you. I have another question that I had before. So again, JCC is a business and we understand that a lot. I'm sorry.
Hold the microphone closer to yourself.
So the JCC is a business like all businesses here. They struggle with retaining people, being short staff. I understand. So one of the things happening in the fitness center and the classes and the swimming pool, there are a lot of staffing problems. And again, it's a business, we understand, but how do you support the people who are already working here, to retain the staff? Because if there's not enough staff, you cannot run these wonderful programs. Like you have to close the pool, the classes are being canceled. And some people, again, some people will just go to the YMCA, which is very sad again, who love the place. But how do you support these very hardworking people who may be stretched because they have to do the job of 3-4 people? How to support the people so they wouldn't just quit or burn out and quit? Again, based on my experience that all businesses have the same problems.
I think there's a few different ways to answer the question, and I take it back to the concept of education. I think what we're doing today is with the intention of making sure our teams, both incoming through our doors and those who currently reside within them, understand that we're on a trajectory to a different type of JCC. Now, I know the concept becomes, well, what does that mean in terms of retention and retaining? And the reality is that when you have the business aspects of it, which show a financial deficit or those difficulties behind the scenes, sometimes it forces your hand in ways that you're not comfortable with. We've actually taken a completely different approach, and this is why sometimes it's important for us to stress that the opinions that we hear and the things that we think are happening behind the scenes may not necessarily always be the full side of the story. Since I've been here and with our team, we've been trying to do nothing but investing into our programs and our people. Even more so than that, when we created our leadership team in January, we promoted from entirely within. We've been bringing new faces into the fold of the organization, creating new departments from scratch to try to lessen those workloads and burden loads across the entirety of the agency. We've tried to change HR practices and policies with the team, that sometimes does feel stretched in, doing a lot of brand new things because we're operating in a different mindset. So when you're operating in one mindset and you're doing this complete 180 turnaround process, it takes some time. And then when it takes time, the concept of change becomes the beacon of, thought. Everyone says, well, there's too much change going on, or I wasn't ready for this change. And honestly, those are rightful thoughts for a team that has been in place, who feels like there's a lot of moving parts happening. And we as leaders of the organization and teams of the organization try our best to make sure that everyone knows that we're here to support them. Now, with any organization, the truth is that, there is some self-selection out and some changes that have to be made behind the closed doors and behind the scenes. There has not been any forceful order here to really lighten the load or get rid of anyone or anything of that sort. The only way we've been thinking is with efficiencies in mind. If we're able to change things for the betterment of the future, we have to come up with creative solutions to problems that don't exist yet. And by doing so, we've made some real big investments into the entirety of our teams. Rachel mentioned earlier something that we haven't done before. 6 members of our team are going to ProCon in Minneapolis. 99% of people that have worked here, probably more over the years, have never seen what another JCC looks like. They've not been able to understand that we're part of a national network, that we're one of 170 plus JCCs from across the country, that we are now signed on as an ambassador, one of 26 organizations, even in our financial difficulties, to the cost of $60,000 per year to ensure our teams have the best access to the resources that exist in this space. So we are investing. It may not feel like that at all times, but there is so much investment happening behind the scenes. But for some, it's taken in differently. So my hope is that in speaking to different leaders on our team and speaking about the different departments, that you will see that we really are doing those investment practices. And when you talk about the fitness center specifically, Exos, and again, I promise never to use that word outside of context because it's all one JCC, was brought in as a potential part of that sale some years, over a year ago. We changed the entirety of the contract to be more reflective of that one JCC model. There's a reason when Andre gets introduced, that he's not an Exos employee. He's the general manager of fitness, wellness, aquatics, recreation, and membership here at the JCC. We're changing the entirety of that mindset and their approach to ensure that our teams know that we're one JCC. So we're working on it, and we're working on it together.
Jason, I'll also add that there was an employee satisfaction survey that was anonymous, that all of our employees got to give feedback. It's something we've looked at very closely, very seriously. It's an opportunity for us as managers to learn how we can do a better job, to be able to increase the satisfaction for our employees. There's an employee wellness committee that was mentioned as well, that's doing everything they can to make sure that our employees are satisfied and continue to put the same dedication in that many of us who've been here for a long time. So that's a great question, and we appreciate that.
Thank you, Ralph.
I have a Zoom question. Will the men's and women's spas remain for the foreseeable future? And I'll answer that, and the answer is yes. There was certainly conversations when we were looking at downsizing the footprint of the building. There was talk about possibly eliminating or consolidating the spas at that time. That has gone off the table since last year when we decided not to sell the building. So spa members, don't worry, that's not going away.
Beautifully said. Question. Think so.
People that have, thanks, that have, the donors, the foundations, you mentioned 3 of them, that give to the JCC and, Ferris to, Camp Seneca Lake. That's fantastic. Personally, I'd like to thank them very much. My question is there any thought about, like what WXXI does with the challenge? A challenge grant or challenge contribution where somebody matches a donation. You know what I mean? I don't know if that was thought of by the team or the committee.
So, as it pertains to development, I guess all items are on the table. When you're talking about a matching opportunity or a challenge, part of that is finding the person, the organization, the foundation that will be responsible for the match. Now, before even getting into a matching perspective and in thanking some of those great foundations, we will be doing this moving forward over the course of the next few months and weeks with some great ideas. I have to thank, most recently the Woke Foundation for $1 million commitment to the Future is Ours campaign. It is a tremendous, tremendous, tremendous gift. And those challenges, those matches, our teams at the development committee are always thinking behind closed doors who we can make a part of those conversations. And when we have more information to share on that front, I think we'll be happy to do that as well. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And, the reality is that we are so grateful, as we've said, tonight, to every single person that has supported this JCC in any possible way. When I think about the concept of donations, I only don't think about the fiscal sense of it, from the dollar amount, the time, the effort, the volunteerism. These are all ways that we love. Unfortunately, when we're thinking about, the fiscal sustainability of the future, it does come down to the dollars that we're able to represent. But again, as I told you earlier, my background is not in development, it's in programs and operations. So my goal is that once we are able to really put this all together, I think we're going to see a different type of JCC moving forward.
And matching donations are always a good way to approach that. So thank you for that. Absolutely. There was somebody back there, a couple of people back there.
Hi, first of all, I want to say thank you to the JCC. We joined 7 or 8 years ago, went through the COVID era, and you guys continued to serve us during the COVID era. And I want to thank you for all of that you've done. And I've also seen the changes over the past 7, 8 years, the increase in programs, it's a special place. You come into the JCC and the people talk to you like they're your family. And that's a wonderful concept to begin with. I mean, it's great. I'm concerned about the facilities only because, for the sake of Brian, in the ladies' locker room downstairs in the shower rooms, there is paint peeling off the showers, which probably will go into the drains, which will probably plug the drains and flood the rooms. I mean, little things like that. When you try to get more members in, I'm not leaving. I'm not going to the Y. I've heard the Y is cold and too impersonal. This is the life of the JCC that I want to see. But I don't want to see things like the ladies' room, locker room flooded and stuff. Where's the concept in helping that out? And again, before you answer, I just want to say thank you for all you've done over the past year.
Thank you for that. You know, I wish I had a better answer for timeline on the projects that we're doing around the JCC, because on any given day, we can have an HVAC system go down, which Brian can allude to, that changes the plans of what we're going to invest in. And since being here, we have invested, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars back into the facility, when those were words of the past that said it's impossible to do that, or improbable, I should say. Every single thing that we hear about, please keep, checking in with us, because we do have an order to the madness to try to make sure that we take care of as much as possible. The reality and the truth, and again, this is an arbitrary number because we haven't done a build-in audit in some time. There's millions and millions of dollars worth of deferred maintenance and projects that probably need to happen around the JCC. And we are tackling them one step at a time. And based on the forecasting model that we put on the screen on the bottom section, which I call those non-cash adjustments and other responsibilities, there is a CapEx budget for us to invest back into the facility every single year. So the question really isn't if, it's just when at this point we're going to take care of those projects. And you have my word, as we keep doing these town halls and as we continue to upgrade our standards and releasing communications out to the community, that you'll get a much better picture of when those projects will take place as we enhance our efficiencies.
Brian, you got the paint on the women's locker room add on the list now?
It's already on there.
All right, there we go. Okay.
Well, it feels like you just you just expedited it to the top almost there. Right?
Over here.
Hi, it was a great presentation. How can we submit suggestions for new programs, fitness programs, and so on?
So depending on which of the departmental areas you would like to suggest the programs, it can be as easy as leaving a message with our membership desk. You can reach out to one of the different leaders of the agency by departments. Sean Stanton, who's not here, is our Chief Operating Officer. He's been focusing a lot of time of making sure that those questions about programs are making it to the right spots. But, on our website, for those who have or have not been there, I'm pretty sure that our staff directory, which is at the bottom of it, has the emails linked by the departments that will get to the hands of those individuals. So if it's a bit harder than, going to the membership desk and you wanted to get a little bit more direct, you can find the emails there, or ask, anybody just by calling in who the right person to direct that message is to. And then if you see me in the hallway, stop me and tell me it was answered, or if it wasn't, and I'll personally follow. Sorry? I do. I remember.
I think we had one. I think we have time for maybe one, maybe two more questions.
Rochester is blessed, as we know, from the actors on stage, but also the countless volunteers in the organization with a tremendous amount of talent. And yet there's a lot of untapped talent, energy, and resources available. Is there any plan to formalize or enrich the volunteer experience and make it more cohesive, make it more obvious how a particular talent or skill or former profession you had might fit in here, and then to make sure that when somebody volunteers that experience is amazing?
The perfect question, back to that concept of the volunteer dynamic here at the JCC. For some time, I think we struggled with this question behind the scenes, but it's picked up a lot of steam in recent months to figure out how we can take advantage of the incredible community that exists here in Rochester and the skill sets that may be attached to them. For some time, we've been trying to determine where that's going to live in our current departmental structure, something that we've been working on behind the scenes as recent as, last week, to figure out who we can live with, how to make sure that it doesn't get dropped, and that our people in this community are followed up with timely, appropriately, and we don't drop the ball. So I think in the next few weeks, and I want to say safely within the next month, we're going to have a really good system in place from efficiencies that allow us to do this a lot better. I mentioned a bit earlier that the best person to contact in terms of the volunteer questions right now, because there's so much more to this discussion, would either be Kathleen, who can direct it to me, or Sean Stanton, our Chief Operating Officer. And even better than that, if you see me or if you have my email, send it to me, and I'll personally set up a time to chat about this. But I can say that within the next few weeks, I think we're going to see a call to order for a volunteer conversation here at the JCC, maybe perhaps in one of our smaller auditoriums, and just to start speaking about the opportunity that exists and what the plans are moving forward there. So bear with us for a couple of more weeks, but also don't wait. Reach out to us because I don't want it to take too long for us to get that information out appropriately.
Some of us are going to hang out in the lobby if you have additional questions. Jason, do you have any parting words before we wrap this up?
Once again, truly, thank you to this incredible community for not only welcoming me and embracing me, but also allowing our teams here to be the special people that they are day in and day out. And truly, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I look forward to sharing these moments again and again and again with you.